Hello, I'm back to Yap, and boy, do I have a treat for you. Well, I mean, it's only a treat if, like, you enjoy this kind of thing, but I guess if you're watching it and not immediately quitting, then maybe it'll be a treat for you. But yeah, I decided to actually record some gameplay in Path of Exile 2 because I've been giga grinding that recently and just edited it together and put some commentary on it. And when I say edit it, I mean that I kind of cut this gameplay down because there were the way I play is I go through, I pick up every single item and try and open as many like chests and containers as possible. And when my inventory inevitably gets full, what I do is I portal back to town. I salvage the items that I can for like artificer shards and like quality and all that, and then I go to the disenchanter. I disenchant the rares and the magics, and then if there's anything left over, I sell those. Then I go to the storage space. I put all the currency I got in there, and then I go back into the map and just keep doing that. So what I've done here is I've actually cut out all the parts where I portal back to town to like do all of that because it would be kind of tedious and I just want you to like enjoy the action. But you'll notice that there will be parts where my character stops and then there's a cut between, like, you'll notice the cut in the audio. Oh yeah, the gameplay was kind of like pausing on itself for some reason, but yeah, you're gonna notice some cuts in the visuals and the audio, and that's when I decided to like portal back to town to manage my inventory. The character I'm playing is an acolyte of Chayula monk, where I basically use all of like the actual subclass abilities for sustain and survival, and the actual build is something that you can do on the base monk, where I have this move called Whirlwind Assault that's just like, it's just spin to win with the staff, and I increase the range on that. And then what I do is I use Frozen Locust, which puts down an ice that I can break and it causes an AoE explosion. So I just like do that, and you can see me, it has like decent clear. Like, look at here, I'll occasionally use Tempest Bell for some extra DPS and to push enemies back if I'm getting like actually swarmed. But usually the little hopback from Frozen Locust and the movement you can do while doing the spin to win is enough to keep me out of harm's way. I've also spec'd into a special status effect I can inflict called Daze, which basically makes it so that enemies are way more vulnerable to like stun. I can fill their stun meter a lot faster, and I also have things that allow me to crit more constantly against enemies who are dazed and to do more damage against enemies that are dazed. So I'm getting extra damage on enemies while also priming them for stun. So it's I got pretty good crowd control, not just clear, because usually it'll take a while for an enemy to actually react after I stun them, because I usually in one Whirlwind Assault I can usually get them most of the pack into stun, and at that point it's just a case of clearing as much of it as I can before the enemies have time to react. Now, if you've noticed those little flames that I keep picking up as I go along, that's what I mentioned about my subclass. It's called Flames of Shayula, and what it does is in an area around you, you start to spawn little fires. The red ones give you health, the blue ones give you mana, and the purple ones give you chaos damage. When I do my next ascendancy, which will give me 2 extra points to spend on that subclass's skill tree, I think I'm going to make it so that the flames are only ever red, and that'll give me great survivability. So in case I fail to use a potion or something, I'm just constantly using the flames around me to like heal up. or maybe I'll make them exclusively blue. Like, I don't need the chaos damage. I'm not built around chaos damage. Like I said, I just use the subclass abilities for like sustain. Yep, there's another hiccup. But the thing is, at the point I am in the game, I'm kind of like pretty good on sustaining my mana regen. So I'm not like running out of mana a lot. So I think it would be ideal to... I mean, it's just like either I'm good on health and I'm good on mana, because I have a second shield meter called like darkness or something that basically counts as a second health bar that regenerates, and it's like, and usually it's hard for the enemies to even hit me because I've spec'd so much into evasion and deflection, and all the evasion I stack in my equipment is like insane. Like, it's actually rare that an enemy gets a hit on me. So maybe I'll actually spec it so that the only flames of Chayula that will appear are the purple ones, and the purple ones give me chaos damage. Now, one thing I would like for anybody who is an expert at Path of Exile 2, or at least knows more than I do, is to tell me in the comments, is speccing into chaos damage good? Because I can't stack a ridiculous amount of it, but I can pick up the little flames of Chayula and like have a reasonable source of chaos damage, but I just don't see it making a big difference in my DPS. Or maybe I'm like interpreting it the wrong way or building it the wrong way. Because looking at my gameplay now, it's really making me think like differently on how I would build my character. And this is actually something I recommend for like people who want to like improve their gameplay or something. You don't need to record at like 4K 60 FPS or whatever, but like record your gameplay and watch it back, because as a spectator, you think so much differently. Damn, the game is lagging. You think so much differently than when you're actually, you know, in the middle of it and just focusing on playing the game. Because I'm looking at it now and thinking I am stacking quite a few of these flames, and I wonder if it would be good to spec into a little extra chaos damage so that all the flames of Chayula that I pick up, which will I eventually make all purple, will give me a good like secondary source of damage, especially for enemies who might be like resistant to cold or have a ton of armor. However, in order to make it so that I can make all the flames be the purple ones, I'm gonna need to do my third ascendancy, like my third set of ascendancy points. And let me just say, I like this game, but the ascendancy trials are... they're not a lot of fun for me, because it's either get screwed by RNG or get screwed by just the mechanics in themselves. Let me explain. The first ascendancy trial, the trial of the Sekima, is kind of like it's a little bit of like a roguelite where you go from room to room and you like pick which room in a map you want to advance to, and each room like might give you a buff, a debuff, have a vendor or like something. But the problem is all the bad things that you pick keep stacking up, and it makes your run less and less fun to play and more tedious, and there's not like a consistent way to deal with that. You just kind of have to get lucky and have the right circumstances in order to maybe remove some of the debuffs you're inevitably going to get. And I think the biggest issue is that the best way, the most reliable way to do that is to try and find a room in the map that has the vendor that you use sacred water that you gain in the trials to like maybe buy a debuff. No, buy, pay to have a debuff removed. The problem is it's entirely RNG whether or not you're going to like find and or make it to a room that has a vendor in it. And my magic lamp wish for the Trial of the Sekima that I think would fix all my issues with it is to make it so that the sacred water vendor is there after every single room, but you can only buy one thing per room. So that way you can't like spam sacred water and just like, you know, buy the best run ever. You still have to deal with bad things. You just have a little bit more control in managing them. Now, the other trial you can do is called the Trial of Chaos. And the Trial of Chaos is just pick your poison. Like pick what way you're not going to enjoy this gameplay. Because all of the debuffs absolutely suck. There's nothing you can do about them. You have to pick debuffs, and you just have to pray that you don't get the really, really bad choices. Like, it is so much... Like, I will take Trial of the Sekimas over Trial of Chaos, because with Trial of the Sekimas, at least you have a chance to, like, not get screwed over. In the Trial of Chaos, you basically have to screw yourself over, and it gets worse and worse the deeper you go into it. So I'm going to try to get my third ascendancy points from the Trial of Sekima, because the Trial of Chaos sucks. The way I would fix it, once again, my magic lamp wish for the Trial of Chaos is... hang on. Okay. Is that it could be like a double or nothing thing, where at the beginning you pick a debuff, and in the next room you can choose to either strengthen that debuff, which gives you better drop rates for better items and more currency, but obviously that debuff is going to make it a little bit more difficult. That way you could opt in to making the run harder, or you could choose to pick a different debuff and completely reset the rarity of all the items, so that yes, your run isn't as difficult, but you're not getting good items yet because you've reset the debuff. I think that would be a better way to give a player more control and more agency, instead of just basically having to RNG, you know, pick your poison. But realistically, I have no actual expectation that they're going to make those trials less of a pain. And I know that they're getting, I think the next update maybe, like this is just a guess, there's no information to back this up, they're going to add the third trial. And I just know it's going to be even worse or equally as bad as the Trial of Chaos. And it'll just be like how do you want to get kicked in the nuts? You know, do you want the roundhouse? Do you want in between the legs? Do you want just Sparta kick? It's just going to be unpleasant, because for some reason the developers have this weird idea of what the game should be, and they don't necessarily account for if it's fun for the players when they're going to make changes like that. But you know what? I take what I can get, right? The game is still fun. I still love it. I'm still enjoying it. And, you know, things like that. Like, I mean, these really are only, like, issues that I have with it. I don't know if other people feel this way. But I'm just using this as a space to whine and bitch about the things about this game that irk me. But it doesn't matter, because I'm still playing it. I'm still enjoying it. So, you know, just a little yap to get my mind off of the inevitable frustration that I'm gonna feel when I go to get my third set of ascendancy points. Oh, that reminds me, speaking about whining and complaining, why does the item crafting in this game have to be so dependent on RNG? Because it's not, I don't want to say that it's just full-on gambling, because there are deterministic elements, but not only is it heavily dependent on RNG, but the currency you need for crafting is way too rare for the amount of rolling they want you to do on some of these items. Like, I don't think it's fair to be like, nope, you just gotta keep rolling the slots to get the outcome you want, but then, you know, shortchange us, like deny us the amount of currency it would take to roll as many as we need. Like, that doesn't, like, it doesn't seem fair. And I know that other players probably don't have a problem with it, but it still like bugs me that I need so many exalted orbs to just keep trying to craft a decent item. But the game is like, now we're not going to give you that many exalted orbs. We're going to give you a lot of items that you would use exalted orbs on, but we're not going to give you the actual orbs. So these items are just going to sit in your inventory useless because you won't have enough to craft all of them. At this point, I'm just like, either make the crafting more deterministic, more reliable, at all levels in the game, okay? Not just for endgame people who have millions of essences. Make the crafting more deterministic at every level in the game. Or if you're gonna make it heavily RNG dependent, give us way more currency so we can keep rolling the slots and not get frustrated when we use our limited inventory of currency to try and craft one item, and then the final roll on it is a bad roll, so you just wasted all of that. And just to clarify, the game is still a banger, still worth way more than the $30 I paid for early access, because yeah, the game is early access, not all the content is out, and once all the content updates for the base game are out, it'll go into like 1.0 and it'll be free to play. But like, to me, this whole experience, like playing this game constantly, has been just worth so much more than just the $30 for me. And I highly recommend it to anybody who likes action RPGs or like stat like building games, because it's a ton of fun. I've played this game for almost 200 hours, which I know is like baby numbers, but like, I don't like play games as much as other people do, so this is actually a lot of time for me. And I've had like 7, 8, maybe almost 10 characters maybe in total. I've played all of the different leagues, and here's something to make you chuckle: I've never reached the end game. I've only ever gotten close to beating the campaign, or I beat the base campaign and never did the campaign rerun that you had to do when it was early, because now it has those interlude chapters. So this character might be the first character throughout my almost 200 hours of playing this game where I finally reach endgame. It's the freaking Acolyte of Chayula monk. Even funnier still is when I started this character, I was like, okay, Acolyte of Chayula got some changes recently, so it's apparently a lot more viable. So what I'm gonna do is, since everybody is too busy playing Lightning Spear Huntress or Lightning Spear Deadeye or whatever, I'm gonna pick the Acolyte of Chayula. I'm not gonna do the Hollow Palm where you fight with your actual fists. I'm just going to do like Chaos Monk, and I'm going to make it work. And I spent so much time grinding out areas and like getting tons of items to like get more money so I can roll more items at the vendor where you pay to roll a random of a certain type of item, because I said screw the crafting. I'm just so done with all this RNG stuff. If I'm gonna RNG, then all I'm going to do is just sell everything I get that, I wouldn't just equip immediately, and then use that money to just roll for an item that I would want to keep. And I just did that, and I never use guides or builders. Well, maybe I'll use a skill tree builder occasionally, but I don't really use like guides for building, because it kind of takes away the fun of the game. Like, the fun of the game for me is just seeing what works and trying to pick something and like doing my absolute best to make it work. Even if somebody else has done that, I don't know. Like, I'm just figuring stuff out on my own, and that's part of the fun for me. That's what gets you those happy brain juices. Now, we're arriving at the boss fight for the area here. Most of the video is going to be me getting my absolute ass whooped. Like, I nearly got him the first time, but he kills me. And after that, it was just corpse treadmilling. We're full on FromSoft game, corpse treadmilling until we beat the boss. And this is actually something that I love about Path of Exile 2 over other ARPGs, is the combat is a little bit more deliberate. Like there's a little bit more physicality to it. It's not just click a couple of things and then you clear the screen and, you know, zoom, zoom, zoom. Like I like the slower feel of it. And I love that it kind of does feel like a FromSoft boss, right? Like I'm learning its patterns, I'm learning its moves, and like I can't just spam. I know I'm successfully just spamming, you know, spin to win here, but he is eventually gonna get me, and I'm learning, okay, this worked, this doesn't work. Like, what do I do during this attack? Do I have an opening here? And that's a ton of fun to do. And along with figuring out, you know, a build that works for you, it just gives you those good brain juices. It obviously doesn't show in this gameplay, but this build has been made, remade, re-equipped, like changed, respec over and over and over. Like I've spent so much gold and so much time grinding just to experiment with like different ways I can build this one character, to find something that works and feels good to me. Like I didn't start the game spin to winning, like, and I did try and go like full chaos damage monk, and then I tried the you know, the sort of more elemental style of play where I would combine lightning and cold. But then I just landed on this, and I did it just by trying things and seeing what worked and what didn't. And that was a ton of fun. Like, I know I've bitched up a storm about... Ooh, almost got me there. I know I've bitched up a storm about, you know, complaining about RNG and crafting and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it's a fun game, and I love playing it. And that's the ultimate ender of arguments, right? Is the game fun for you to play? If the answer is yes, then you're just complaining to complain, which, yeah, that's kind of the point. I'm just yapping. So this is my first death against the boss. He caught me with that like impale where I didn't see him coming from off screen, and he got me. And I'm gonna get real tired of having to slow walk and then wait for the cutscene and then wait for him to get his lazy ass up so we can finally fight. But whatever, right now I'm just thinking, okay, I can learn to avoid that move, and hopefully I'll get him this time. But I'm pretty sure one of these times he's gonna get me before I've even done like 25% of his health. Like the problem is the first attempt goes so well, and then you get greedy, and then you get frustrated, and you just keep doing worse and worse. And like it just, like, your performance ability kind of goes down until you've hit a certain point where you're so tired that you finally reach like a meditative state of flow. Like you just reach a flow state and you manage to actually beat the boss. So yeah, in that respect, it is kind of like a FromSoft boss. You just keep going until you reach that state where you're like in complete zen, and you just figure it out and beat the boss. So while the boss is beating my ass, I'm going to tell you why I only play Path of Exile 2 from now on in Standard League. So the way it works is there's two leagues. There's Standard League, which is like the game with all the mechanics and stuff. And then there's the Season League, which is one specific mechanic that's new, and you can only play it if you play the Season League. I mean, after the season is over, they might port that mechanic over to the Standard League, but while the season is going on, you only get that new mechanic and system in the Season League. Now, I only play Standard League for two reasons. One is the Season League feels like a race. It feels like a competition to me. This isn't like a problem with the game in itself. And it makes me feel a lot of FOMO, like fear of missing out, and a lot of anxiety of, oh, if I'm not blasting, if I'm not at endgame, all these people are already at endgame, and it like sucks the fun out of the experience for me, where I can't like just take it at my pace. So I play Standard League because in Standard League it literally doesn't matter. I can just play at my own pace, and if I'm not racing or if I'm not making it to endgame, whatever, doesn't matter. Like, this is all in my mind, right? Like I said, it's nothing wrong with the game, it's just a me thing. The second reason is because you have a box where you can keep all the items between all your characters, but it's between all your characters in that one league, right? In that particular, either standard or like solo, self-found, or hardcore, or whatever. I play standard trade league every single time so that I can sort of piggyback off of one character's success into another one's, right? So I could just find an item that would be really useful for another character, put it in the box, and when I play that character, hey, I have a brand, like a new item that I can start power scaling. I can use my already built up characters to build up my new characters, right? So those two reasons are the reason why I only play Standard League. Now, I am probably missing out on something really cool because the new league mechanic is like a sort of thing where you design your own dungeon and you pick what kind of like rewards you're gonna get, and it looks really cool. But I'm just gonna stay in Standard League and I'm gonna wait till the season is over, and hopefully they will port that mechanic into Standard League and I'll get to play it. So I just have to be patient. However, before I even start thinking about making more characters, because my sort of meta goal with this game is to get every single subclass to endgame. Not to beat the endgame, but to get every single subclass past the campaign into like the endgame of mapping. Now, that sounds insane, but it's just like a fun little goal for me to chase as I play this game. Like, it's not something really necessary. So what I'm planning to do here is to get this guy to endgame and use all the loot that I'm hopefully going to get from that to start other characters in Standard League and get them to endgame, and it'll just like snowball and become easier as I go. I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of like classes that I haven't played, so I'm gonna be, figuring them out as I go. But regardless of that, I think it's gonna be a heckin' of a good time. So I'm recording this part of the commentary. I'm recording this part of the commentary the day after I ended the previous line, and I have actually been playing a little bit, and I made a change to my build that just makes it even more spin to win. So you've seen so far that I'm kind of using a Tempest Bell, right? And I also used the Frozen Locust in order to pop the Frozen Rock and create a cold AoE. So what I've done is I put a support gem on Tempest Bell that allows me to be able to use it twice in a row instead of having to charge it up, use it, then charge it up again, use it. Now I can charge it up, and while I'm using it, as long as I'm hitting enemies, I can pop a second one and then just keep refreshing it. So I'm literally just spin to win summoning the bell over and over and over, and it is hilarious. Plus, I also equipped an ability called Vaulting Impact that makes it so that if I hit enemies that are dazed with it, they take even more damage. So I spin to win, all the enemies get dazed because my chance to daze is really high. And then I just like instantly melt them by spin to winning with the bell. It is so much fun, and it is one of the reasons why, despite all my complaints, I love this game so much, is that there are so many different ways to make things work, as long as the developers don't, decide to nerf it for reasons that are beyond my comprehension. I kind of understand why you want to nerf some things, like, game-breaking things, but I think trying to achieve a perfect balance in a game like this is kind of a fool's errand, right? You're just setting yourself up for frustration, because it's essentially just game design whack-a-mole. No matter how many you knock down, more imbalances are going to keep coming up. So I mean, what I would think is, you would want, instead of it making everything balanced, you would just want everything to feel good. Not necessarily to make them all equal in terms of like efficiency, but at least try to make them equal in terms of fun so that they all feel good to play. So we have reasons to keep experimenting and doing different things instead of doing, lightning spear Deadeye for the 1000th time. Man, looking at this gameplay, I'm still having trouble deciding whether or not I want to make all the flames of Chiyula red, blue, or purple, because as far as I got in the game during this gameplay, I was feeling, I have enough health to survive, I have enough mana to spam my abilities, we're good. But I've been playing more after, the recording was over, and I have to say my survivability ain't looking, all too great. And I still don't necessarily see the advantage that comes with like stacking a little bit more chaos damage. So if all the flames of Chiyula were red, I could just keep moving, like, spin to winning and healing. But the problem is, most of the time an enemy like gets the better of me or kills me, it's not necessarily that I need to like heal, it's that they just melt me instantly. Yeah, see? Do you see how my health just went down? So it's not necessarily a case of, I need more sources of health. My flasks will do just fine. I just need to take less damage, is the thing. But thankfully, the developers made it so that I can freely respec my ascendancy points, my subclass points. So I can just experiment as much as I want because I've been stacking up so much money selling every single little item that I didn't want that I've picked up, which, is tedious in retrospect, but it's coming in handy for whenever I want to like experiment with my build or change a couple of points. So I can just experiment and see, okay, what if all the flames were red? Is my sustain better? Or what if all the flames are blue? Can I keep spamming my abilities enough to keep stunning enemies? Because my stun is absolutely insane. I can stun bosses like 5, 6, 7 times per fight. It's actually really ridiculous, so I can actually control them pretty well as long as I can keep, landing Tempest Bell, and especially now with Vaulting Impact, I can do even more damage to them when I daze them. But I don't know, I still want to try doing the purple flames of Chiyula so I can stack chaos damage and see how that goes for me. But the problem is, like I said, I've never really seen a significant increase in my DPS whenever I try stacking chaos damage, but I might have just been doing it wrong. I don't know. I gotta experiment with that. Because the thing about chaos damage is that I don't see what makes it so special that I would want to devote an entire chunk of my build into stacking it exclusively. Because what chaos damage is supposed to do is it's supposed to make it easier to like take out an enemy's like energy shield, but I can already do that if I'm doing enough damage, so I don't necessarily see the point of stacking a lot of it. Oh, am I gonna beat the... Yep, there we go. I beat the boss, finally. Looking back at this, I think I might want to make some adjustments to my single target because, like, hindsight is 2020, and seeing all this footage is making me rethink, because I can crowd clear like an absolute motherfucker in using Tempest Bell and Spin to win, but the problem is, as far as single target boss damage goes, well, the issue is bosses move a lot more than regular enemies, and they don't necessarily just chase you down. So I need something that's a little bit more reliable than just trying to keep them still enough to use Tempest Bell. Oh, and there's another thing that I want to talk about, where I have a theory about how item drops works. Now, this isn't based on any actual like real data or anything. This is just a theory I've got going on, because for the longest time I've played the way I told you, right? Where I pick up every single item, like salvage, disenchant, sell, and then I do it all over again. And my drops haven't been great for the entire time I've been playing this game. But recently, like very, very, very recently, I've started only picking up currency and specific yellow items. Like only that, right? Like I let everything else go. And for some reason, I don't know if maybe it's a placebo effect, but my drops have been getting really, really good. Like I'm way more consistently getting currency orbs. Not enough to justify all the RNG, as I've said before, but it's been a lot better. And I'm wondering, is there like a secret like in-game counter that keeps track of how many items you've picked up recently and kind of like resets the rarity of what you get based on how many you've picked up or what you've picked up? Like, I'm just theorizing here, right? I'm pulling this completely out of just my personal experience. But is there something like that that I just don't know about? Because it seems weird to me that the moment I stop picking up absolutely everything, my drops get way better. Let me tell you something. I am not looking forward to playing Warrior, like, specifically, because they have something against people who stack armor. Like, I swear, the people at the studio are just trolling Warrior mains. Because not only is armor the least effective of all three main defensive stats, but it also penalizes you. Like you get like a movement penalty or something when you're using it, which is weird. It's like, if you're not penalizing energy shield and evasion, and you should not, because that shit's not fun, why are you penalizing the defensive stat that gets the least amount of attention from you? Like, it's so weird. Like, maybe you could have a thing where if you're using armor on a class that doesn't like specialize in it, like a dexterity class or an intelligence class, if you're using armor on that, then it penalizes you. But if you're using a class that is meant to use armor, why the penalty? It makes no sense to me. Not to mention, why doesn't armor inherently protect against elemental damage? Like, you don't need to have like a huge like 10-15% buff, but at least give them something. Give them something, because good lord, especially whenever you're gonna do your ascension and you're the kind of a player who uses armor, you are so screwed, because in the Trial of the Sekimas you don't want to get hit at all, and characters who use armor usually are very, very prone to getting hit, because the idea is to absorb the hit instead of dodging it. So why the hell do you hate people who want to use armor so much? Like, I am so nervous in using Warrior because I just know that armor is going to let me down big time. I know they recently added a thing where on the skill tree you can spec into making armor resist elements a little tiny bit, but you don't necessarily need to spec in the tree to make the other two defensive types like way better. So why the hell is armor getting shafted there? Man, looking back at this gameplay, I really wish that, you know, YouTube's copyright system wasn't such a easily abusable pain in the butt, so that I could put on "You spin me right round, baby, right round like a record." Like, I could literally just do a video that is that song and just me running this build, because man, my poor character's gotta be close to throwing up or something, because wow, he's just going. But at least we're nearing the end of this interminable gameplay commentary, I guess, where all I'm doing is trying to, because what I do is, right, I try to run through the map, doing as much as I can, and when I beat the boss, I check on the world map screen to see if I've done all the little side goals. Like, even if it doesn't necessarily give me something that I would want or that could be useful, I still want to like clear it all. So I open up the world screen, see all the little like mini goals that you get per level, and then I go back since I've already cleared most of the map. Although most of the map probably respawned because I probably died fighting the boss, and try to get those mini goals done. So for this map, I was supposed to find like some water fountains that give me like either items or bonuses. I don't really remember. So I'm just trying to get that done. And after that, this gameplay commentary finally ends and I can rest. It's just I've never done a commentary this long because all the art yap videos are just like 8 minutes, and even then I have a hard time finding stuff to talk about, which is weird because I'm usually a pretty good yapper, but when I turn the record button my brain just goes bleh. Hopefully it's something that I'll continue to improve on as I keep making more of these. But next time is definitely gonna be another like art video because that's my bread and butter, baby. That's the thing that brings me life. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you next time.